Hi everybody, I'm Lindy and welcome to another edition of The Bird Mom. This is part 2 of a 2-part series and we're looking at a backyard birding setup to see if they're doing things right. Last week we identified 4 backyard birding fails, and in this episode we're going to be fixing those fails. We have an absolutely gorgeous day today. It's about a week from Thanksgiving. It is warm in the 60s and we have a lot of work to do before we lose the light. So let's get started. Okay, so we have a couple things to do with this. First, just as a recap, this was a fail because the backyard birder didn't take into account these overhanging branches above, and that squirrels were jumping down and raiding all of the valuable bird seed from this feeder. That doesn't have to be, and it's really a simple fix. All we're going to do is detach these parts and move this feeder up and move this water source up a little bit to avoid that fail. One of the things that I talk about in the first video that I'm going to repeat, because I'm going to repeat it probably in almost every video that I do at The Bird Mom, is clean, clean, clean. You have to clean your bird feeders. So while we're breaking this down, we're going to take the opportunity to soak these in a bleach solution. It's 1 part bleach to 10 parts water, and that's what you want to clean your bird feeders with, and we're going to do that today. And now we're going to break down this polling system here, and then we're going to replace this with a better bird feeder for this location. This is an auger type polling system. This is a separate anchor that I bought that goes with different kinds of polling systems. You're going to see a lot of polling systems where you shops where you're birding products. This one is from Droll Yankees. Droll Yankees is one of the preeminent shops if you're looking for backyard birding supplies, and I really highly recommend them. This is one of the anchor systems that I truly recommend. I'm going to show you some other polling systems today, but this one has really, it just stays in place, and it has these 3 supporting legs that give you even more support. And this has taken a lot of use by the birds, and I really trust this product quite a bit, and something I really like. So this one is really neat because I can do this myself, and you can do it too. It's not hard to put in a bird pole. Now, if you were putting in something that was a little bit more ornate, you might need a contractor, you might need someone who's really tool savvy to be able to do this. I can do this myself, and so can you. Watch how easy it is. Now, where we position this too is really important. You want to be able to see it from your window. So think about the things we talked about in the last video. You want it to be away from predators. You want it to be within view so you can enjoy it. And if there's poor weather, you want to be able to easily refill it and easily clean it. So we've centered it here on this birder's porch so they can watch it from their porch door or from their kitchen window. Let me show you how easy it is to get this in the ground. Look at that. That pole is not going anywhere. So now let's go figure out how to get this flange on the bottom of our new bird feeder. We're back in the Bird Mom workshop and we are going to replace that old broken down wooden bird feeder with a sustainable, beautiful, recycled, made in the USA bird feeder from JC's Wildlife. It's jcswildlife.com. It's one of my favorite places to shop for bird feeders. They're also on Etsy, also on Amazon. Their link is below. I love this bird feeder. I trust this bird feeder. I have a lot of these bird feeders and you're gonna see a lot of these in my upcoming Bird Mom videos because they're so well made and they're made in the USA and they're recycled. So we're gonna look at this bird feeder, which has a removable tray, which is going to be infinitely easier to clean than the other screen feeder on that old feeder in the backyard. So let's get started putting the flange on the bottom of this so we can get this up. So we're going to center our flange on this supporting beam on the bottom of our feeder. We're going to mark out clearly the areas that we want for the screws. I'm using a white pencil and I think that's going to give us a good sense of where to put these screws. All right, there we go. I'm going to pre-drill the holes a little bit before we put the flange on, just to see what I'm looking at. Here we go. Yay. That, my friends, is how you attach a flange to the bottom of a bird feeder. Okay, so now we have this beautiful new bird feeder that we swapped out that old one for. And we're going to attach it here like this. We're going to attach this like this. So now we are going to reassemble the baffle, which is really simple to do. I like this baffle because it's very simple to put on, and the backyard birder has told me that it is effective. So you wrap it around the pole like this, and when you get the baffle, it's going to come with a strip of these flexible rubber attachments. You size it to what your pole size is, and then you just snip off the ones you don't need. It's very simple. You just use a scissor to do that. Then you wrap it around your pole like this, and you use this strap that comes with it. You give it a good tight wrap, like so. It almost feels like an ace bandage. And then it has a very nice Velcro closure. You hear it? And that is adhering to it like that. This looks more complicated than it is. It's not. It's just a tiny little bit tricky. There are two pieces to this. There's actually three. There's this metal part, then there's these two plastic pieces. Fit these around your pole like this. And these rest on this rubber flange. These two pieces snap together. Like this. See that? And then the pole rests here. Now the tricky part is you take this metal bracket, swing it around, and that's what locks everything into place. It really is easy. and there's your squirrel baffle. It works. I'm going to keep the water source here, and I'll also, during the day, and you're going to see this build up more with some of the other solutions that we have, I've been building up this brush pile for this birder. This brush pile is going to be a one-stop area for birds during the colder months where they can find shelter. They might be able to find some extra natural types of foods, but this is something that you can do in your backyard that's easy to do. It looks a little messy, and I'm usually, I tend to like a clean yard, but the more I've been reading and the more research I've been doing, these brush piles are something that can really help our backyard birds and some of the other creatures that are in our backyards. So now the fun part is deciding what we're going to do with these extra hooks. With the cold winter coming on in the Northeast, I really like to put out suet, and I like to put out other types of feeds besides just mixed feed. So I think what I'm going to do is put out a suet feeder here and suggest that the birder also put out a nice Niger seed filler here. Niger seed is a wonderful seed for your birds. They love it, and the squirrels are not going to eat it. Now we're ready to fix this backyard birding fail. If you remember, cats were living underneath this hedging area here and creating a very dangerous situation for the birds that came to visit this lovely little feeder here. The homeowner has a great view from their living room window, so we're going to move this over to the other side of the hedge, which will still give them the perspective of being able to look out and enjoy their birds in the front of their yard. We're also going to repurpose this edging. It's a very inexpensive edging that I found to create a barrier in this hedging here, because as I observe this space, and remember, it's important to observe your spaces and see what's happening. The birds still come here. The doves in particular, and some of the sparrows, the ground feeders, are still coming to visit and use this space. So with this really inexpensive barrier, we're going to be creating a safer space here. So if the cat does come to stay under these hedges, it's not going to have an easy opportunity to pounce back on and get those birds. I also want to put this bird bath in storage. This has been repurposed as a little planter for some annuals, which is a clever idea, but this type of bird bath doesn't do well in colder climates. So we're going to empty out the dirt from here and then store this for the winter where it's safer, it won't crack, and the backyard birder will be able to use this again in the spring. Inexpensive barriers. I'm pretty sure that this was from a big box store, and they fit very simply into the ground, and it creates an ideal barrier to prevent cats from jumping out underneath hedges and other types of greenery. Okay, fixed. Let's get over to the other side. Now, something interesting that I learned is that cats like a way in and a way out of their hunting grounds, also the areas that they live in. So we're on the other side of the hedge too, and just in case as a little insurance policy, we're going to put up another fence on the other side of the hedge just to make it a little bit more difficult for that cat. little barrier will make things a little bit trickier for our furry friend who likes to come in and wreak havoc with our feathered friends. This is an Ortilli bird feeding station. This is something on Amazon. It's about $40, give or take $1 or $2. I like this because it has a pull system that attaches by screwing it together. Some of them slip in and they're a little bit less expensive, and some of them have screws that are on the side. I like this because it has a firmer base. Once all of these are all together, you get a really strong system. It also has a 5-prong system that fits directly into the ground, and I'll show you that in just a minute. It comes with some interesting accessories too. It has a little extra bird feeder here. It really doesn't pass muster for the bird mom, but it's something that you could use. It comes very well packed. It has a nice suet cage. This is something that's good because you put a cake suet in here and then you hang it up from the bird feeding station on one of the hooks that are attached. So this is something that's very useful. You know how I feel about water systems for birds. It's very, very important to have a water system close to your birds. Now, the backyard birder has their system over here, which is a solar system, which I tend to like more than these dish type systems that fit like this and then attach to the pole using these types of securing links. The reason I don't like to have water on the same area as the bird feeders is because it can contaminate the water too easily. So if you're going to use this bowl, use it as a daily place to put out some fruit or something else that the birds might like. Put out some individual seeds in here, but take it in at the end of the day and clean it. Remember, keep your bird feeding center clean. Now, one part I really like is this tray feeder. Platform feeders are a great place to get a huge variety of birds to come to your bird feeding station. And this one is ideal because it has drainage. Remember this one? No drainage. So if you put seed in here, you're going to have to clean it daily. This one has drainage on here. So if it gets wet, I would like to clean this out because you don't need to put a big amount on there, but if it does get wet, at least it will have the air in here to keep it dry so mold doesn't develop. This is the top of the bird feeding station, which is going to fit on the top of the pole. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 places to hang bird feeders, to hang your suet feeder. You could put a nice tube feeder from here, and these are a little bit far apart, so you're not going to get too much crowding. This feels like a nice solid steel. I think this is going to last through the winters here and through the precipitation. So let's put it together and see what we're looking at. Here's this 5-prong base that I was telling you about. You have a nice sharp field here. This fits in like this. You put these 4 together like this, screw it in here, make sure it's nice and tight. I'm going to clear this out of the way for a second. Now we're going to find a nice level piece of ground to anchor this in. The results are going to vary depending on what type of soil you have. And sometimes you have to test things out. The space where you choose to bury your foundation may not work. If it doesn't, dig it back up and find a place that works for you. Okay, so we're going to take a look around and make sure that there's no dangers to where we're going to put up this bird feeding station. We're a good 10 to 15 feet away from any area where a predator may lie, so that's great. We're on a nice even center. We have a water source nearby. There's one thing that we're missing, and we're going to fix that in just a minute, but let's get this started first. rock down here, this is going to be harder to do, so I may have to move this. Let's take a look and see. Remember the auger system that we looked at before? That's why I like the auger system too. It takes a little less effort, but this is working. Just takes a little foot power. So we're going to work this in till these bottom two are nice and secure in the ground. And we have a good solid fit. Here we go. Okay. Look at that. That's nice and solid. I like that. So now we'll put in the supporting poles. Lay everything out first. Remember, measure twice, cut once. These screw together nice and easily, like this. Now we have the pole up, what we're going to do is put on the accessories. So we kind of have to plan this out ahead of time. I don't think I'm going to use this. We have a couple of other hangers. And then we have this dish. Now, instead of this dish, aha! What we could do with this is use this like a perch. So this would actually be like a little waiting space for the birds. So I think I'm going to use this, and then just hang feeders down. I also potentially want to put a baffle on this, but we can do that at a later time. Let's work on this first. So I'm going to put this one on first. So the accessories, first you have to undo them. Undo the screw, which is really simple to do, and then you just slide it on the pole. Very simple. And this particular set comes with a lot of different accessories. So they have extra little pole hangers here, which are really nice. But we have 4 opportunities already, so I want to do those first. I'm just going to place it here for now to see where it hangs, and I can adjust that. Very simple. Slide it on, and then this screws on. Nice and sturdy. Always test that. And then I'm going to screw on our little area, which will be a perch system. Now if I want to, I can put out other types of food in that plastic bowl. I'm going to put that here. On the other side, like this. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Okay, that's nice. Now I'm going to put the top on. I really like this. It has a really solid steel feel to it. Not bad for 40 bucks. Okay, and we want to always keep in view of where this bird feeder is going to be watched from. So it's going to be watched from a window in front of us. So I'm just going to put this at a little bit of an angle here. Now just so you know, if you're going to use a squirrel baffle, you're going to need to be at least 3 to 5 feet up on the pole in order to place your baffle. So if we do use a baffle for this, we'll probably have to get rid of these 2 accessories here in order for that baffle to work. So I think I'm just going to lower these just a little bit. So let's put this one up to feed. This is one of the accessories I'm definitely going to use. In the colder months here, this suet provides extra fat and extra energy for birds, and it attracts a beautiful amount of birds like titmice, nuthatches, chickadees, blue jays. They love to have a nice quality suet. Again, I'm not an absolute fan of this feeder at all. Super cheap, really thin plastic, but I'm just going to hang this up. I probably wouldn't use this unless I was experimenting with a kind of seed or I just wanted something else to throw away. I hate throwing things away. I really like buying things that have a long life, so these types of things don't end up at the landfill. So I'm not a big fan of cheap plastic, and I try to repurpose things as much as I can. And I mean, if you look at the whole makeup of this feeder, it's really cheap. It's flexible in my hands. Look at that. Just by a little bit, I just blew these things out. I broke this in one little squeeze. So this is not going to be a winner for this product. Although the overall product I'm very pleased with. Plus, if you look, remember, no drainage. Remember how important it is to keep your seeds dry. And even though there's a plastic here, there's still no drainage at the bottom. So you could get infiltration here and here, and even with these cheap, look at this, these cheap holes here, see that? You're going to get moisture in this. So I think I've made it abundantly clear I'm not a big fan of this. But we're going to put it up here just to see where this may lie. So this is going to be a lot bigger. So this will probably be down about this height. We'll use another tube feeder here. I think these will be ideal for tube feeders. And remember, we don't have a baffle on this, but if you want to avoid squirrels at your feeder, try seeds that they don't like. Safflower. This is something that I learned this year. Safflower seeds. Get the geese, get the geese, get the geese, get the geese. You got them? Excellent. Safflower seeds are a seed that squirrels do not like. You could also use a Niger seed that the squirrels aren't going to get at either. So you can really put together a feeder without a baffle that the squirrels are not going to go near due to the type of seed that you choose. So we're going to lower these just a little bit, just to accommodate our feeders. And remember, we use this like a little waiting room. And once this feeder is in action, you're going to be amazed at how useful this becomes as a little perch for the birds that come and visit. Birds take turns, and we're going to put in 2 other little waiting areas here, repurposing that cute little trellis that we had. So we're going to get 2 of those and put those also here, so the birds have a place to wait, and then they'll circulate. You'll have a lot more birds coming to your bird feeding station when you have room to accommodate them so they can feel safe. And some birds, especially some of your winter birds, they will take a seed, like a chickadee or a titmouse. They'll take a seed, particularly if you're using black sunflower seeds. They'll take the seed, they'll take it to a safe spot, they'll eat it, and then they'll come back. So if you have more places for them to move around with, you're going to have more birds coming to your stations and using them. Now, even though we're not using these parts, we're going to save them because this birder could use them in the future. If they want to expand how many feeders they put on here, they could use these extra feeder clips, and then we'll find some purpose for this plastic bowl. I hate throwing things away. Okay, let's get those 2 small trellises and show you how we're going to set up our waiting room. So the Backyard Birder had used this really inexpensive trellis system that they got at a big box store. I think they paid, about $5 for this individual sturdy trellis. This is really nice for the value. Something that easily goes into the ground, and we're going to use this as part 1 of our birding waiting room. This is really easy to do. It just sinks right into the ground. You're going to put this, now remember, put this far enough away so your squirrels can't use this as a jumping board to go from here to your birding station, and they will do that because they're clever little creatures who are hungry and will do anything for food. All right, so we're going to put this sort of at an angle here, at an angle here, and this will create a space for your birds to rest while they're eating seeds, they're waiting their turn, also while they're bathing here or taking a drink in this watering station right here. So let's get to this. All right, so this is, again, it's going to depend on your soil type and whether or not your soil will absorb this and keep it nice and sturdy. My soil type does, but again, results may vary. This goes in nice and easy. We're going to make this nice and sturdy. And especially with the winter coming here, this is going to look pretty. All right, I'm going to try this back a little bit here. So I think I hit a rock. Let's try this again. Maybe tree root. There we go. There we go. Perfect. See that? That is not going anywhere. Now, I'm going to try it on the other side. That water source. We need to make sure this is nice and secure. And then we need to get some bird feeders up here. So this is a really easy fix, but I think it's going to have a big impact. We are going to retire this old bowl feeder. This is actually a bird bath that was used as a bird feeder, and you can do that. Again, the caveat is there's no drainage here. So this is sort of a daily thing where you could put out some fruit, you could put out grapes, cut strawberries, different types of apples that birds might like. You could also put seed in here only if you cleaned it out by the end of the day because you don't have the drainage. If the seed gets wet, it can get moldy and that can cause disease in birds. Now, we're going to keep this up. Why do you think we're going to keep this frame up? If you said for a waiting room for birds, you were right. So this is an area where the birds can rest. We're going to keep this watering dish here. This is a wonderful wide-brimmed bird bath. I got this at Wild Birds Unlimited. This is going to stay up because it's a lovely water source for the winter. We need to change this water frequently, particularly if the water freezes. You want to be on top of that because water sources in the winter in these cold climates are very hard to find for the birds. So if you can keep this water, even if you put a water heater in here, a submersible water heater, this would be a great asset for the birds. Now I know this backyard birder is putting up a new heated water heater in that area over there, and we'll look at that later on. So we're going to keep this here. We're going to keep this up as a perch for birds. And then we're going to shift this old feeder down the end of their deck. And the reason we're going to do that is because when the birds were here, and they're so close to the city that they would get a lot of pigeons. And when the pigeons are here, they're messy birds, and they would flick the seed into the water. It would contaminate the water, and they were out here cleaning this bird water quite a bit. So we're going to take this off. We're going to say goodbye. Now look at the difference. This is the same product. This is 2 years of use. So judge your use accordingly. If you want this to last longer, take it in at the end of each day if you can. Then you won't get the weather damage that this went through. But it's not a expensive product, but it's something that can bring a lot of enjoyment. So now we're going to move down to the end of this deck. And we're going to install this new frame here. Now, I happen to love my squirrel friends, and I don't mind feeding them. If you are not happy with squirrels, then you probably really shouldn't have a feeder on your deck, or you would stock it with things that the squirrels don't like sackflowers. You see the tree? This is going to be a great spot for the squirrels because they use this as their little bridge and jump onto the deck here. So just keep that in mind. I'm just going to put this down a little bit further here. In my mind, squirrels have to eat too, and they do bring quite a bit of enjoyment. We have quite a few squirrel characters that come, and we're able to know which squirrels are which on our deck at home. So this was really easy to put on. It's a nice sturdy grip. You want to make sure. Okay. Do you see the ridges right here underneath? This snaps right onto the frame, so this isn't going to blow away in the wind. It's one of the reasons why I really like this product. You take the larger edge here, see that square? You snap it in the front right here, and then wait till it clicks. Hear the click? Hear the click? That means you know that it's on tight. We're going to give it a little tight here. Good. Now this birder is ready for some heavy winter feeding. Okay, so the next thing on our task list to do is assess this backyard birder's bushes over here. These were a dangerous ground for cats. The cats were hiding under here, and then when they had a bird feeder here, which they've since taken down, the cats were coming out of those bushes and preying on the ground feeding birds here. So today, to minimize that, we're going to be removing the lower branches of these bushes here, and then we're going to be trimming them down a little bit so there's no spaces for the cats to hide. So I just finished clearing out the undergrowth of these bushes to make the space where a cat could hide a lot smaller. I think it actually looks a lot neater. What we're going to do next is we're going to clean this up. I'm going to repurpose some of the greenery that we took off this for some holiday decorations because it smells so good, and I am a big believer in repurposing things as much as you can. And then we're going to take that leaf pile over there, we're going to grind it in some mulch using a neat little tool that I have. Spread it down underneath here so there's a nice winter bed of mulch for the birds to enjoy as well. So with our fall leaves, I love to reuse them, to recycle them as much as possible and put them back to improve our bird ecosystem. So I'm using this tool today. This is the Works leaf vacuum. It's a tool I discovered last year, and it's indispensable in making mulch out of these piles of leaves. So I can reuse them in the yard as fertilizer for next year's garden, and also I'm going to put them under the trees that I just clipped to make a nice winter mulch as well. So let's get started. Remember, safety glasses and masks because this creates a lot of dust. So the machine takes leaves and makes it into a nice thin mulch. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay this mulch down underneath these trees. Not only does it help keep the roots warm in the winter, but it serves as a breeding ground for other types of bugs and insects the birds will eat come spring, and also during the warmer months whenever the bugs do come appear. So it actually is a win-win for both the tree and for our birds. Welcome back to the Bird Mom Studios. We've accomplished so much in fixing those backyard birding fails, and we're here today to talk to the backyard birder whose fails we've just fixed. Say that 10 times fast. So give me a moment to just introduce our backyard birder, and here she is. Hi everyone, it's me. I'm the backyard birder, and those were my fails. 2 years ago, when I rented this little house in northern New Jersey, it became my sanctuary. We were coming from a really tough time. We had lost our house. I had so many personal tragedies in my life that were occurring, and this was my refuge. I started out with one bird feeder on my deck, and that little bird feeder has spawned a hobby that has brought me the most incredible amounts of joy. And it also got me so much closer to nature and to observe nature and see the parallels in their little lives and how we conduct ourselves from day to day, the struggles they have and the struggles that we have, how they operate on a day-to-day basis. It was a little bird that was standing in the rain one day, eating its seed so courageously that sort of brought me out of my own funk. And it gave me the courage to work a little bit harder in my life and realize what it was that I wanted to do. And really, birding was it. The last 2 years, I've put together my little ecosystem. And with every bird feeder I've bought, with every new seed I've tried, with every new pole that I've put up, I've learned something. And some of those things needed to be fixed. Part of our backyard birding journey is about observation, reflection, and fixing the problems that we see. The ecosystems we build, whether it be one bird feeder and one water source, or if we build a whole sanctuary, everyone's ecosystem is different. Your birds will act differently. You'll invite different furry friends into your area that you're going to either have to control or adapt to. And that's what it's about. It's about observing, about reflecting on what's going on in your backyard, and then fixing what you see. And that's what we've done. Those fails that you see were about 2 years worth of work on my backyard. And the fixes that I had, they're already working, and I'm really excited. Some of them needed to go back and be tweaked. I had to put some bricks on that pole that we erected to make it just a little bit stronger. I moved the thistle seed feeder over to a different location, and today I saw the most beautiful birds on it, and I was so excited to see that it finally worked. It's an individual journey, and it's something that you'll learn from and something that you'll get immense amounts of joy from if you participate. Fixing a fail isn't a bad thing. I tell my own teenagers, if you have a problem, you have to own it and you have to fix it. So when we start out this journey, none of us are experts. I'm certainly not an expert. And to be honest, some of the experts that I see, they're not really experts either. If you look at birding information that you see out there, you may see different opinions on different subjects. It's the same subject, but 3 different experts may have 3 different opinions. Find out the one that works best for your birding situation and experiment yourself. I want to hear from you and to bring more information about your observations and the things that you see, the things that you fix, the failures that you have, and how you adapted, observed, and changed them. Let me know in the comments below, or send me an email at lindy@thebirdmom.com. I want to hear from you, and together we can build a stronger backyard birding community with the knowledge that we put together. Backyard birding is something that will have an impact on the environment in a big way. We're losing billions with a B of birds every year, not just to the cats that I was talking about, but to all kinds of different things that are going on in the world. And by participating as a backyard birder, you're taking a step in helping build back the wild bird community one bird at a time. Become knowledgeable, learn, use the resources on our website, and explore other resources that are out there. Wild birding is becoming more and more popular, and with that, we're going to be learning new things and making new discoveries. Become a part of the movement and put up that bird feeder, maintain it, clean it, put up that water source, try different types of seed out there. Become a discoverer, become a backyard scientist, and let me know the different types of things that are going on in your backyard. I'd love to hear from you. Lindy at thebirdmom.com. All the equipment, all the tools that we use today, they're listed in the description below, so take a look. If you click on those links, remember you're helping to support the Bird Mom and our efforts to help strengthen our birding community here in New Jersey, so I appreciate that. Subscribe, like, hit that notification bell so you can learn about the new videos that we release, and we're going to be releasing new videos all the time. And tell your friends about us so we can help build our community and make it even stronger. And if you have a little bit of money that you can donate to our cause, find the link below so you can learn how you can help us in our efforts to strengthen our birding community. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, to learn more about me, to learn about my fails, to learn about our successes, and how we're working to strengthen the birding community here. And I hope you join us again real soon.
you.